What would you do if you were tasked to guard a remote and desolate outpost, and then discovered you weren't alone? This is the story of an experience so terrifying that it's passed among soldiers as a legend, whispered only after dark. Welcome to the Nightside Archive. Tonight, we unravel the tale of the Shrouded Predator, the soldier's terrifying encounter. Our story begins deep in the jungles of the Democratic Republic of Congo, an area known for its rich biodiversity and its dangers. In the late 1980s, a small team of UN peacekeeping soldiers were stationed at an isolated observation post, tasked with maintaining the fragile peace during a period of unrest. But even these hardened professionals weren't ready for what transpired over those fateful nights. Corporal James Petrov tells his version of events, which has since become infamous. The outpost, surrounded by thick jungle, was several days' trek from the nearest village. Supplies were dropped off irregularly by helicopter, and radio communication was their only fragile lifeline to the outside world. At night, the wilderness came alive with noises, shrill cries of birds, the growls of predators, or the distant shimmer of leaves being stirred by unseen creatures. But one night, those sounds changed. It was like the jungle held its breath, Petrov recollected years later, his voice trembling as he told his story. A sudden eerie quiet descended upon their post, broken only by the occasional crackle of their campfire. The noises of the night seemed to retreat, leaving this deafening silence. And then, he says, the feeling hit me, like something was staring at us. At first, they dismissed it as paranoia. After all, being cut off in hostile terrain does strange things to the mind. But things escalated quickly. The next morning, their food supplies were found ripped apart, though no tracks or animal markings offered a clue. A few empty shell casings were scattered near the remains, likely from the rifle magazines always at their ready. Yet the soldiers had not fired a single shot. That night, Petrov and his comrade, Private Lucien, kept the first watch. The jungle, once again, fell into that unnatural stillness. The firelight flickered against the trees, casting long shadows, and then they heard it, a low, guttural growl, not like any animal Petrov had encountered before, and certainly not something native to the region. It was long, drawn out, and seemed to echo unnaturally through the air, giving the sensation that it was coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. Lucien grabbed his rifle, scanning the perimeter. Petrov explained, "Neither of us could see anything, but I'll swear to this day, I felt it watching. My blood went cold, like ice, through my veins." Their radios crackled faintly with static, as if tampered with by an unseen force. Hesitating, they called out into the darkness, their voices trembling in unison. No reply, just the growing sensation of unseen eyes boring into their backs. By morning, tension in the camp was palpable. 2 soldiers reported hearing heavy, irregular footsteps somewhere in the distance, yet the perimeter remained untouched. Trees, stretching high above the outpost, seemed to sway unnaturally, despite the air being utterly still. It was as though the jungle itself was hiding something, Petrov later explained. On the third night, paranoia gave way to terror. The outpost's motion sensors, while primitive at the time, were designed to alert them of any intrusions from the perimeter. Suddenly, just before midnight, the devices all began activating in rapid succession, every single one. Soldiers scrambled to their positions, taking aim stances in every direction, awaiting an attack. But they never saw movement, never caught a glimpse of any tangible threat. The sensors, however, continued to spike sporadically, With no explanation left by tracks or other disturbances, Private Lucien began to crack under the pressure. He swore he could see something among the trees, something massive and shrouded in the blackness of the jungle. Others dismissed his account as hysteria, his mind playing tricks on him in the low light. But increasingly, a new pattern began to emerge. The soldiers noticed that each supernatural occurrence happened closer and closer to their living quarters. Whatever it was tightening its circle of influence. On the fifth and final night, everything came to a climax. Petrov recounts that Lucien was on patrol when he suddenly came running back to the campfire, white as a sheet. It wasn't an animal. Lucien repeated the phrase over and over, shaking violently. Before they could question him, an ear-splitting roar erupted from the jungle. It was inhuman. Even the trees seemed to quake beneath its force. The roar sent birds screaming into the night, and the ground beneath them trembled. The soldiers fired wildly, their nerves completely shattered. Some claimed to see glowing orange eyes flickering amongst the trees. Others swore it was a giant, looming silhouette, darting impossibly fast through the shadows. By morning, Lucien was gone. His rifle was left behind, still leaning against an old boulder near the edge of their camp. No tracks, no sign of struggle, just his dog tags hanging forlornly from a branch. With dwindling resources and morale in shambles, the remaining soldiers abandoned the outpost the same day, marching endlessly back toward safety. To this day, no one knows what truly happened in that jungle. Was it a predator, some unclassified cryptid hidden deep within the labyrinth of trees, or something less corporeal and far more malevolent? The region has since been avoided, rumored to be cursed or inhabited by something hunters and locals speak of in hushed tones. Petrov's recounting of that eerie week has become infamous, spreading through camps and bunkers across borders. The Shrouded Predator has joined military folklore, whispered by flashlights during long night watches. But the heavy silence that accompanies his tale says it all. It's not the story itself that terrifies listeners. It's the notion that lurking in the forgotten corners of the world, something might truly be out there. Watching, waiting. The Nightside Archive bids you farewell for tonight. Sweet dreams, if you can find them.